In ancient times, our ancestors learned natural ways to heal the human body, which was just as important as learning to survive or learning how to communicate with each other. These ancient methods of healing form the basis of Eastern medicine for many thousands of years, many of which had their roots in Greece, Egypt, Japan, China, India, and Tibet. Today, in holistic healing therapy, these ancient healing methods are becoming more regularly used and integrated into Western medicine. One of the oldest healing techniques, which date back over 5,000 years, was believed to be Ayurveda, meaning the science of life in Sanskrit. This is based on the concept of treating and balancing the body as one complete unit of energy: body, mind, and spirit, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. This also includes looking at nutrition and diet, and various combinations of herbs and yogic breathing techniques. This overall body healing is referred to as the holistic healing. Emotional biohealing is a comprehensive therapy that utilizes tools from bio-neuromotion, also known as biodecoding, psychomagic, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, conscious hypnosis, among other things. It is a therapy that helps manage emotions and their impact on overall health and aims to understand how to transform disharmonies at all levels into lessons and messages from the unconscious mind, for the purpose of redefining, transforming, and healing, recognizing the inseparable relationship between body, mind, and spirit. It is a humanistic approach centered on achieving a deep understanding of how we perceive the world with the aim of improving our reality. It is based on scientific, philosophical, and humanistic disciplines that study the psyche and its relationship with the physical and energetic body. Its main objective is to find and understand the root of the problem. The main focus of work is on changing perception and understanding the information embedded in our culture and our personal history, contemporary life, family, transgenerational, and childhood sense of purpose, with the goal of making changes in unconscious memories and thus creating a new and more positive reality by transforming symptoms, illness, and situations into triggers for profound self-awareness and transformation. Polarity therapy involves your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions directly influence the physical, mental, and spiritual health of a human being. Polarity therapy is referred to as energetic medicine because it uses several techniques to influence energy flow and energy balance in the body. Practitioners believe that the energy imbalances, disturbances, or blockages result in disease and can be corrected. As a holistic approach to healthcare polarity, there is a comprehensive and includes therapeutic bodywork, energetic nutrition, exercise, and self-awareness. It emphasizes love as the essence of the healing process. And the many benefits of this promotes personal well-being through a deep understanding of the origin of emotional conflicts. It enables us to comprehend the relationship between our conflicts and the physical symptoms and ailments in our body. It also assists in releasing memories and patterns from our lineage, as well as helps alleviate symptoms caused by unconscious conflicts and changes the body, whether they are hormonal, neurological, or structural. The ultimate goal of this well-being practice is to reprogram negative patterns and memories in the unconscious mind in order to transmute them, and thus heal the physical body and all aspects surrounding the human being, facilitating better emotional management and consequently physical, mental, and spiritual balance. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Welcome everyone to Andromeda 7, your celestial gateway and your channel for community support, love, help, friendship, and most important, knowledge. Thank you all for being here tonight. It's good to be back. We took a very well needed and enjoyed our rest and recharge. Thank you all for being patient. I know you probably were jonesing a little bit for your A7 Friday nights. And we jonesed a little bit without you guys too. So it's good to be back. And we've got a great panel tonight. Theresa tmdanton. Sophia, so good to see you as well. Hope you're feeling better, my dear. Grandpa Brian and Jim Puskala, Dalibor Suki, and of course, our own Trina Phoenix. So good to have you all here tonight. And we're talking about emotional biohealing and polarity therapy. And we know that Trina and Jim and Grandpa Brian have a lot to say about it tonight. So we're going to get right into it. But real quick, just to acknowledge everyone in chats and give them a quick greeting. Miss Chloe, good to see you. Love seeing your crystals. You tempt me every time I see your goodies on there. And it's hard not to want to just buy them all up. I'll tell you that. Thanks for being here, Chloe. Loretta Enigma, good to see you as well. Welcome, welcome. Brenda, good to see you as well. How are you, my dear? It's been a while, huh? It's been a minute. It's good to see you. Thanks for being here. Let's see, who else do we have? Black Raven, how are you? Wow, somebody's turning 40 this year. Hard to believe. It goes by fast, huh, Black Raven? Let me tell you, the older you get, the quicker it goes. So welcome to the over 40 club. Beloved Abstract, so good to see you. Welcome. Missed you as well. Let's see, who else do we have? I think I've got everybody. If I didn't get you, oh, Truth Seeker, how are you? Good to see you, Jayashir. Wonderful to see you there. Steve Bow, good to see you as well. Welcome, welcome. Well, I'm going to hand it over to Theresa, and she can introduce Jim and Trina a little bit, and we'll get the party started. But
well, first and foremost, it's really great to be back with everyone after such a long break. It really is. Mm-hmm. And we have a limited, I would hate the word limited. We have narrowed down the panel tonight to give Jim and Trina a lot of time to discuss things, because both of them are certified healing practitioners in polarity therapy and biohealing methodologies. And so they have their unique ways of doing things and perspectives and stories they can share with us. So we're really excited to have Jim back with us. It's been a while. We love Jim and Trina, of course. That goes without saying. We really love our Trina. So welcome back, both of you. And secondly, I would just like to say Laurie's birthday is on Monday. So happy birthday to our sweet, sweet sister, Laurie.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thanks,
happy
you guys.
Happy birthday.
You can't stop me. Anyway, what I would like to do is we kicked this around with Brian. Grandpa Brian was able to, after we did our last couple of shows, as some of you know, in our show link, we're referring you back to a couple videos we worked on that we had a discussion about biology, and most recently, and about the human heart and how the heart functions. And Laurie did a great job of covering the toroidal field discussion when we were discussing how we tap into cosmic energy flow and electromagnetic energy. There's all types of healing modalities, and there's very little talked about here lately. I guess it was a big thing a few years ago, but biohealing and polarity therapy, heart math, NLP, a lot of people don't know what these things are. They know what Reiki is, and they know what guided meditation is, and what is it, QHHT or what?
The quantum healing, hypnosis technique. Yeah, it was developed by Dolores Cannon, and if you're into any of this, you know who Dolores Cannon is.
That's right.
She's a pioneer in this, and Brian Weiss, I believe, as well. Yes.
Right. So this makes a good follow-up to those discussions, because we were explaining the blueprint, the biology behind it, and the energy behind it. But now comes the how to change things, how to heal, how to work with the heart and the rest of the body to do that. Outside of the Reiki, which we all are familiar with, but there's a lot more to this. And so we're looking forward to hearing that tonight. So I'm going to bounce it over to Grandpa Brian, because in the process of discussing this with them, he made the connection between Trina and Jim. We had talked about bringing Jim on, and we know Trina's been doing some things with this all along with her clients. And so it just made good sense. So thank you, Brian, for bringing this topic to the table and for helping us pull together our two guests. He handled the coordination of Jim and Trina. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So Brian, would you like to kick it off?
An understanding of what biohealing is and polarity therapy. That would be great.
Yeah, I started learning about biohealing from Jim about 4 years ago. And it really fascinated me how you could just scan over the body and feel different energy signatures and kind of almost pinpoint what is kind of going on and actually the age that it actually happened, the trauma happened to the person, or the emotion that's tied to that energy. You can get around and find about right near where the age that it all started. And I just found it fascinating that after you were done and you started scanning the body back over again, that you didn't feel those energies, that you are actually doing something that actually caused the energy to be released or dissolved. And it was absolutely amazing, especially they even felt better afterwards. And
Are you saying the practitioner, just by laying of hands and being able to sense the energy, is able to kind of pinpoint and diagnose with just the energetic aspect of it?
Oh, yes. You kind of like start at the head and you go to the feet and you go back up and you'll feel different energy signatures. Thing is, you may not want to take them all out because, releasing a lot of emotion.
How does the practitioner cleanse themselves?
You don't want them to release it all because that could be too overwhelming for them. So you just want to limit the time that they are releasing because you don't want to be traumatizing to them physically. So that being said, I'll let Jim start off, and then I guess we can move to Trina afterwards.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
I took a class in 1997 that started me off this emotional biopolarity type of healing. Anyways, as Brian said, it's like one of those things you kind of scan the body, as I would teach in my class about. I just label it emotional healing, because emotions are the strongest creative forces in our bodies. So you can imagine what anger will do to your body. And if you stuff it, which most people do, because they don't want to blow up and think I'm being angry and expressing it out loud, so they kind of stuff it in their body somewhere. And that includes any emotion that is negative or less serving. So what happens, it all turns into dis-ease if we don't let go of it. And again, that's a matter of, sometimes we don't realize we're hanging on to something, because it's very subtle, especially anger. If anybody usually gets my experience, I'm not saying, I don't want to make this black and white, it's absolute, but my experience with people with anger usually have cancer. It depends, like for women that have motherhood issues, you wind up with breast cancer. That's my experience. At least I would say it that way.
Yeah.
It can be
and you're talking about years of holding it in, and that energy just destroys.
It takes years to happen. It's not going to happen overnight with that kind of emotion, but it's called dis-ease. That's why it becomes uneasy in your body. And what Brian's talking about, well, we're able to scan the body to see something that's out of balance. Remember, back to the polarity. The polarity part is something out of balance in your body. So we look for creating the balance, and doing so you start with somewhat the energy, but really it takes back to letting some affirmations, like recognizing what the feeling or emotion is. For instance, if it's something called lack of trust, well, then you have to let go of the lack of trust. Like, I recognize that I have the lack of trust pertaining to somebody in your life, like maybe a past mate or one of your parents or somebody. A lack of trust can also create a lot of havoc in your life. And by releasing that through an affirmation, then you start to change it by letting go of it, because you recognize what it's doing to your body. And it starts with the emotional part of it. And I experience when we get people, we put them in a zero gravity chair so they can relax. It takes the weight off their body. And immediately you can see the transformation start immediately, just by them becoming weightless. And as Brian said, usually they feel like they lost 20 pounds before they're done with the night. That's
That's
just the way
got
it
to
works.
be a huge release to let
It
that
is.
go. And
It
there's
is.
some self-responsibility in that as well, recognizing and doing that inner work helps
is.
release that as well.
And
I've
again,
always wondered how it is that you know. Is there like a database out there where health practitioners, healing practitioners like yourself, have recorded
this is my intuition.
similarities?
My intuition takes over, and I can pinpoint an actual age and what had happened with what the person was involved usually. But there's ways you can muscle test people. There's ways to find out if you aren't that intuitive, to find out where it stems from. And sometimes the people know immediately themselves. They say, well, I know what it's from. So let them talk. Let the person talk, because they have to spit it out, we call it, and get it out of their. Well, by recognizing it, it's the first step to say, what is it that you're upset with? Usually it stems from being upset with somebody else, maybe yourself included. Because again, a lot of women are upset themselves as thinking they're not a good mother. See how that works? It's not what I said, motherhood issues. It could be their own mother or themselves as a mother, lacking.
Yeah.
I said the emotional side of ourselves as humans, now, as I call the ETs, they have no emotions. You know, they function on intelligence. So that's what I always wonder about us humans. What does an emotion do to us? Well, that's a real problem, hard to understand, is it not? How many of you have emotions? We all do, right? How complicated they become, especially when they get like mixed up, like different soups and mixture of different chemicals in our bodies. How it reacts through time and years of, let's say, stagnation inside of ourselves. So the sooner we can recognize the emotion that's hurting us or creating dis-ease, the faster we get rid of it. That's easier said than done, of course. Actually, your body, mind, and spirit are all inclusive, because your spirit knows what you're doing to your body. Now, if you don't fix it in this lifetime, guess what? You get to come back and have that disease immediately back in your body. If you die in that type of stuff. So that's why there's a lot of stuff that we never understand. Why does a person come into the world with a disease, right, without coming in contact with any logical explanation of a disease? It stems from a previous lifetime.
Sometimes it is a spiritual agreement.
Yes.
So it's not always that, but you have the opportunity to change that. You can always change it.
Absolutely. So, you know, our point is we get in there and find out what it is, the emotion to start with. And by affirmation, you get a chance to release them and then take back your power. And then through what I call through our breath. Remember, the first thing you did when you were born was to breathe. So think of this as to be born again. That's basically what you're doing.
Exactly.
Interesting. Yeah.
So
And then you have the little children who are born with a disease.
That's what I'm talking about. So that you also have a contract, like you said, there's so many different possibilities in this thing.
Yeah.
It gets kind of complicated, but I like to keep it simple, silly. That's what I call it. Because if we keep it too complex, then we lose the sense of what we need to work on. That's why I said, if you're ever getting into this stuff, it gets heavy, I always say, call it a timeout, stop. You don't have to get this done in one day. Take time to do it if you have to do this in steps. Because I'm sure Brian's seen a few people, because he's taken several classes with me. They get very emotional. They start crying. They almost want to start screaming and saying a few nasty words about their experience, because they have to get rid of it.
Yeah.
But we have no problem with them doing it that way.
Right.
So,
you got to get it out.
That's
Don't
right.
forget your microphone is muted, Trina. So make sure you turn that off.
She's got it. Yep.
Join in.
Yeah, she's got it.
It keeps me from interrupting. You see, I'm planning that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I knew that. Hi, Trina. What's your understanding of all this as well?
Your introduction was just magnificent. I mean, the foundations come from Ayurvedic and Indian study. And then what Jim just said with how it's about addressing the disease in the body, which is a frequency issue with a hurt, some type of a trauma, a hurt, a regret. There's a million and one reasons why we stuff these emotions in the body. And like Jim was saying, it's like a map of the body, man. It knows right where to put all this trauma, it knows how to hold it there to where it becomes so subtle, and you're so used to holding it that you most often don't even know what it is anymore until it's manifesting as a symptom or a disease. So this is what we were learning in Polarity, was how the energy body is such a bioorganic electrical field. And when you can feel and tune into the energy patterns of your client and train with them and meet them where they are. And this is what we were taught. It was like, when you meet your client, find out what they need to work on, build rapport, kind of get into their world, assess where they're at, find out what they do know is wrong if they have awareness of it. The biggest part of Polarity, when I learned how to do these assessments and get into the body and into the client's world, it was amazing that I started to understand how the body could talk and how the body has its own personality, its own memories. Like the neck has its own consciousness and it has its own trauma, and different parts of the body have different stories. And it's a way to talk to the part of the body that you normally don't have access to. So the favorite part of the modalities for me is doing the sub trance work, the light hypnotherapy work, because the guided journey work that I do for most people, it's a product of discovery. So we can find where the energy is out of balance, and then we can dive into that part of the body and try to bring the memories up in the memory. And when you can access the memories, then you understand why it hurts, or what you need to contend with, or process, or release, or whatever it is. And as you learn to speak to the consciousness of the energy bodies, the subtle bodies, you literally can create a whole new vibrational existence in your own being, which can achieve spontaneous healings. I mean, all kinds of different things can happen, and it's completely it's never the same. And you never watch people activate their healing the same way. They all do it different. It's like they're all doing it different. And that's another beautiful gift with Polarity, is it gives you the opportunity to go into different ways to potentially help people work through their blocks and get to their strongest potential in their manifestation. Like Jim was saying, body, mind, and spirit. All three have to agree. So that was one of the principles I learned in the beginning, was the power of the Trinity. And then the foundational work that they taught me was learning how to work with the elements as they sit in the body. So you would learn different, okay, these are the parts of your body with fire. These are the parts of your body that work with earth. These are the parts of your body that are associated to water. These are the parts, and then ether, which is the encompassing field, the subtle energy field, which directing biomagnetic and electromagnetic, all simultaneously, connecting all of it together. So Polarity also addresses ether, which a lot of therapies didn't address ether. So that's a beautiful integration too with Polarity. So when we were learning about the different elements in the body, when you can get to an understanding of how you're feeling, what your symptoms are, what parts of the body are literally giving you trouble, you can map that and usually see what elements they're struggling with. And then when you hear what's going on, you can usually see an association with the elemental disassociation. Like they're having emotional depressive, that's water. And if they're explosive, they're angry, they're anxious, that might be fire or air, So and then they're like, but my neck hurts all the time. Okay, that's fire. So, you know, you start to listen and put everything together like a puzzle, and you build a structure of the entire body, energy body, and emotional bodies, as big of a picture as you can. And when you start to process these things and you gently touch and move this energy in the body into a balanced facility, and then as you're doing this, let your clients tell you what they see or feel or sense about that energy that you're helping them identify in the body. And then a lot of times they'll know. And then sometimes they'll just know, well, it feels like this. And then that's when you have to, you know, be a good guide and say, when do you think you felt like this before? You know, and then when they say, oh, maybe, you know, and then just, and say, don't doubt your own doubts. Just let your imagination flow. Let your imagination show you where you need to go. Literally walk people through their imagination so they can get to where they need to be. Because we don't know. We're just kind of helping them see, because this is the whole thing. When they can see where they're stuck and how they got stuck, then we help them to find a way to get it unstuck. And the way to do that is you see it from a different perspective, a higher place, a higher point of mind, of consciousness. And then we also have solutions on how we can physically address, you know, maybe with food, diet, stretching. There's a whole, you know, you go multi-aspect on the healing process itself. So, but when you can shift the consciousness, the body is so brilliant. It is miraculous. So if we could just learn to do that, 90% of this other stuff would kind of not even be necessary, because you are that powerful. But sometimes we need touch. Yeah, sometimes we need touch. Sometimes we need adjustments with our diet, our exercise, breath work, learning to control emotions. Those are all tools a lot of people need to learn as well. So it's a very open therapy that gives you so many choices on how you can practice. And then I also learned with Polarity, I learned a modality called cranial sacral therapy, which is running and holding energies on the head and the spine, and utilizing the connection between the base of the sacrum and the occiput area, where you've got the sphenoid. And the sphenoid, it sits in your face kind of like this, like through the sinuses and through the top of the head. And when you take the skull apart, it makes like a butterfly. And it's so beautiful. Yeah, and that butterfly is at the top of the spine into the skull, in the middle of the skull, and it literally fits perfectly into the sacrum. So this is another thing, is you learn to work those energies between the top and the bottom, connecting in heaven and earth, subconscious, conscious, yin yang. You're working the energy systems through the very top all the way to the base of the spine, and then it goes all the way to the feet. And then you work with the hands and the feet, positive, negative poles. You work with the poles on the sides of the bodies, right and left, giving, receiving. So you start to fine tune into all of these energy fields. Cranial sacral, an amazing modality, wonderful help for many people with different, like weird stuff, tinnitus and ear problems and just weird stuff. All these different things. It's like you'd never think, well, how, you know, but we don't know how these things help, because it's, people do things their own way. And that's a beautiful thing about getting to watch people put themselves back together. It's never the same. And that's really wonderful. So we did cranial sacral therapy. We learned how to work with the body as a map and find the energy blocks, associate those to the elements and the power of the elemental structures, and then going into the consciousness. And then another thing, like we do body work, and I use a spiral balancing wand. And we do balancing with crystals and different energy modalities. And this is a spinal balancing wand. And then another way to do like a form of muscle testing is using a pendulum to find the energy blocks. Because you can literally hold a pendulum over a chakra, and it will literally start to move in different ways. And you can get your answers. Show me, yeah, show me open, show me close, show me balance. Yeah. So these are all tools that you use to confirm and work with these blocks of energy in the body. So like I said, it's such a wonderful thing, because you get to use like myo release, myofascial release, like where you work with different parts of the fascia in the body and lift it up and move it and release the water and you know, start to bring fire back into things that are stuck. So you're working with the elements as the elements are exhibiting their deficiency or overactiveness. So I just, it's always been my favorite therapy of all therapies
Yeah.
was polarity, because it's just, wow, there's a lot of options. So for me, it's been magical.
I was fascinated by the fact that there's a layering of there's two things going on. There's the physical aspects that are happening within the body, and then there's the spiritual side of it that people don't understand. And when I was dealing with my knees on my most painful days, just for the heck of it, I took my pendulum, and when I'm having blood flow constriction through the knees, because I have osteoarthritis, I don't have any joints left. There's no padding; it's all bone on bone. And when the there's a constriction of fluid, or I start to swell up, that pendulum goes nuts. But when I've been through a session for self healing and things start to calm down and I get that mobility back, the pendulum barely moves at all. It just rocks back and forth. Like, yeah, there's good energy flow, but when there's a blockage, it goes out of control. So
Mhm.
is that the fire, the heat, is it heating it up, or
You know,
what's going on there?
everybody reads their pendulums different. So learn what it means for you, and that's going to be true for you. Because
Okay.
nobody's gonna, yeah, I don't think
When I
people's
get the
energy.
helicopter, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then like do the pendulum and say, okay, so if I get the helicopters, does that mean that the energy is hurting and it's disruptive and it's moving too fast and bringing in fire? You know,
Yeah.
is this overactive, and see if that's your answer for overactive. And then you could also have it to where balanced. Show me what balanced looks like. Show me what balanced looks like. So the pendulum will always go in that particular way for you to know it as balanced. And also do no energy, not enough life force, stuck, you know, stopped energy. So you want to know to address blocks, and then uh balanced, and then too open or overactive. So if you can usually just get to the positive, negative, and neutral, which is balanced, if you can get those readings, you can usually get your answers pretty quick.
That's cool. So you're like
I've got-
programming your own pendulum. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm curious about something. We have, Sophia, who is a psychic medium, and Jim, who is a psychic medium as well. How do you, Sophia, first, how do you use your mediumship skills for healing on a completely different level?
My healing practices have been, I would say I lean more towards mediumship and channeling and astral projection, remote viewing, pendulum work, runes, tarot, meditation. Healing is something that I have done for my husband, my animals, even my air conditioner.
I love that. Car too, huh?
The state of Indiana frowns viciously on people practicing anything that has to do with the physical body that does not have a license. And as much as I would love to do that, I like to stay in my lane. That's my personal preference. I would say this type of modality is a calling, that you're equipped to serve humanity in this fashion, which I feel is the case with Jim and Trina both. But I just don't feel at this time. Can I heal? Yes. Have I healed? Have I created a sacred space to allow people to heal themselves? Yes. Are there multiple ways to do it? Absolutely. But a lot of my practice, if you will, has dealt with prophecy, divination, astral travel, past life regressions. That was something that came to mind earlier, is you can have a physical element that can have a connection to a past life. It's more of a symbol than it is an ailment. So once you do that regression, that ailment or symptom is gone. But I'm not going to tell somebody, like Trina was saying, people know when they're navigating something because they'll get imagery, or their clairs may give them indications where they can get traction with an issue. But I'm very careful what I say, who I work with in that regard. But it is the part of it that I've experienced is seeing people recover, because a lot the battle is won and lost in the mind. And if your mind's a mess, your body and your soul or spirit, whatever you subscribe to, we can have that debate later. It will, garbage in, garbage out, chaos in, chaos out.
Yes.
And it's a personal responsibility to take care of this jacket, if you will, because in my humble opinion, and I'll close with this thought, I feel that there are thousands of souls waiting for a body, and that having a nervous system and being able to navigate a physical plane is how we evolve, which is what I've seen a lot of people in chat say. But I mean, there's a lot of room for debate, but I feel if you're leaving this world a better place, one person at a time, and you're called to it, get down with your bad self. Let's do it.
Well said, Sophia. Well said. I love
Thank
that.
you.
Yep. Like Trina always said, what you think about, you bring about. So,
True.
you've got to be careful what you think of.
Yes.
Jim, how about you on the mediumship aspect of it? I mean, I know that's a deep resource that you use when you're helping others to heal.
Like Sophia said, past life stuff has a lot sometimes to do with it. So it helps that you can trace back into some past life. Because again, the body has a memory cell. And the memory, that's why a lot of times you come into this world, why do I always have pain in my body here in a certain location, say a knee? So my experience, sometimes it shows up as on the left side of the body, it stems from your childhood, pretty much from 0 up to, let's say, approximately 19 or 20, depending on when you leave home, because a lot of people don't leave home till they're 25 or 6, that in today's world. So think of your childhood, your upbringing, where your parents influence your life, if that makes sense. The right side represents the stuff that you're dealing with as an adult, which a lot of times is your work. How many people have problems at work or with their jobs or something. But I'm just saying those are relative perceptions. But back to trusting our intuition leads us into more or less recognizing all aspects of anything that could be, as they said, what's in your mind. Obviously, if the mind is ill, you've got a problem already. That's it's back to body, mind, and spirit. Again, spirit to me is all aspects, which includes past life stuff, the future lives included, I guess you'd say. So you can only imagine what could come out of this whole thing if you get into such a deep perspective of multiple dimensions and thoughts. And that's where I said, back to KISS, you can really make this so complicated, you can mess it up before you even fix it. So that's a caution on us as practitioners to overdo something that doesn't need to be overdone. Like bake the cake slow, take a time out, and you might find it. That's why most people don't usually get, when I call emotional healing, get done in one session. It's too much. It's very seldom. It's rare. I don't want to limit anybody, but most people, we're humans, so we're running around with a lot of baggage. Imagine that.
Yeah, a lot to process.
Oh man, I don't have more than 6 suitcases of stuff with me. I always call it symbolically. So we all got stuff, but keep it simple, silly, and then you'll be surprised how much easier it is to process what needs to be resolved and fixed. So back to permission is the first step. If you never give yourself permission, you'll never achieve what you want to get done. It starts with the power of yourself. See, the system disempowers us because they always say, do what I tell you to do. Just like what do you learn in school? If you don't do what the school tells you, you're going to fail, and nobody wants to fail. So we always got to be cautious not to give our power away to other beings and things and rules and regulations. So remember, to empower oneself is to believe in oneself. And when we finally get to that perspective, then we finally get to where we need to be in our empowerment stage. And again, how that affects us with our own feelings. Because if you feel good about yourself, what can you do? Unlimited. There's no limiting you. If you believe in yourself that you can.
That's right.
I am, and I will.
Mhm.
past, the present, and
And
the future.
belief is the key, because most people are
Yep.
limiting themselves by thinking certain ways, and they don't
Mhm.
you don't move on to the next level by being closed-minded about things. You want to know every aspect of it. You want to discover all of it so that you've got the keys to figure this out. Yeah. Go ahead, Theresa.
Well, I just
Yeah.
have a quick question for both of Jim and Trina. You know the old saying, physician, heal thyself. We all have that innate ability to do this. And I've done a lot with myself, but I've also done a lot with the help of a good friend or someone that I'm very close to who vibes with me and understands me. So the value of having practitioners like you two, and I have not gone to one because I don't have any in my area, number one, and number two, I just don't know anybody in close proximity that I trust enough. I've done a lot of remote work with Grandpa Brian from time to time, Laurie, you know, they're the two that are my two go-tos all the time, to get that extra energy and healing. But it seems to me that if, and I'm just putting this out there as a question more than a knowing, is that it seems to me that the value of having a team like you or someone like you to work with would be, because it's more difficult, I think, more of a challenge to work on yourself with these energies than it is to get someone else in who can let you get into a relaxed state where they can help you help define
Mhm.
and target and come up with a plan of a series of sessions.
And they're the objective view. They
The
can
objective
see it from a
view.
whole different angle.
And they have
Mhm.
the experience, so they
Mhm.
know. Typically with my clients who have problems with dermatology or problems with arthritis, or they know patterns, right? You learn patterns in different people, and it helps you to do the assessment, right? The physical assessment. Is that how you start out with it? You do that, get that body scan, and you come up with, and the past lives if necessary too. You'll get an idea of that.
There's so many different ways you can get started, especially if the person sometimes knows what their hang up is, if that's a word, or what needs to be healed. They immediately know it because they're carrying with it and they're conscious thinking almost on a daily basis. So there's just many different ways, I call it, get it out of them. You know, there's a symbolic way to slap them around, not to hurt them. But when you start talking about things that
Wake 'em
upset
up.
them, you slap them to wake them up and they get upset with you sometimes, believe it or not. Why do you have to talk about that for? Oh, I think we hit a bone here or something.
Yeah,
Like
boom.
that.
There it is.
Goes back to trusting your own intuition. You know, the worst person to read for is oneself. So that's why a lot of times go to another person to get their viewpoint or thoughts, and that helps you translate yourself into a better perspective. And maybe I can help myself by listening to someone else sometimes. I'm not saying always, but it's back to listening to what they said. If it doesn't fit, don't wear it. Pretty simple.
Yeah, I would say that the disease itself is the pattern, because the disease itself is a standardized set of symptoms or a standardized response to a widely divergent set of causes. I mean, some people get heart disease from poison. Some people get heart disease from diet. Some people get heart disease from stress. So you know, there's many pathways to elicit the same disease. And similarly, there's different modalities that will heal that same disease. You know, if you just go through the list of things that have cured people of cancer, you know, it's anything from honey to dandelions to aloe to salt to garlic to vitamin C. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yep. You know, that's the thing. Every body does different. And you know, the correlation I've seen with that is because it's what you believe. So it's so different for every single person based on what they think. So if you say garlic's going to make you better with this, and you believe garlic will do it, it might work just like that. This is the best thing that I've seen. Like, you know, when I was like knowing like the second coming of Christ, to me, this is what this is when you can help people activate their superpowers. that's the greatest gift you could give to yourself or humanity. And I've witnessed it. I cured myself of an incurable disease, hepatitis B, bloodborne, which there's tell me and find one person that's done that. I did that. So, and then I've seen things other people have done, which was unbelievable. And this is another thing where polarity can help sometimes. When that was with me. I was in another medical situation, and the doctors didn't know how to help me. They did not know what to do for me. So they tried everything they could. You know what I mean? It wasn't for lack of effort. They gave it their damn best for 2 years, ran every test, tried everything they knew, but they couldn't figure it out. So this again is where the power of looking at different ways to heal your body sometimes can be a life-saving measure. And for me, it has been twice in my life, and changed the outcomes of what my body would be experiencing for the rest of this lifetime. Completely changed it.
Do you
So
have
we are that powerful.
Do you have a practitioner that you work with on you?
Yes, I have a couple.
You can go to?
Yes, and I just found another quantum healer in Phoenix here, and I really like her. That's the one that did the last session with me. And then I have a partner who I work with energy work, and I will tell you, boy, guys, energy work is amazing, and remote work is amazing. But wow, when you have two people that work together with a person, it's very powerful. I think that's if two or more. Yeah, there's something to that. Two or more.
There is something to it.
You can put two people, and it's great. You put one at the head and one at the feet, and just start working your mojo. But that bouncing those, it's just something's different about it. So, like I said, that's a beautiful thing too. Is try to find people you could practice with, of laying hands with, pushing energy, feeling energy, push and pull, feeling energy that feels too fast, feeling energy that feels balanced, feeling all the emotions held in the solar plexus and the diaphragm area. We do this movement of polarity. It's called a diaphragm release. And wow, celebrities used to pay like $1,000 to get this done in Hollywood.
I know.
Because after the
actors,
it's how they get rid of the personalities that they take on. It gets stuck right here. So you have to literally go in and push it and get it all the way down. Literally, you feel the spine. You touch their spine. You go in that deep. And it's this primal scream that comes out of people, and this pain that comes out of them. And then you always have to leave out the left part, roll out left gently when you release it. So, I mean, you have to be trained to do this because it's serious. You don't just try this at home. So, but no, this is something that flat out, I mean, you can't, it just breaks energy out of its hiding places because the pain is so bad. It wrecks you, but it releases it all at the same time. So it's a beautiful modality, but most people would never even dare to even do it because it is raw and real and so extreme. But the power behind it is powerful too. Powerful.
A good start for that is the same thing you would do if you were taking a voice class. Would be if you were taking singing lessons or a voice class, is to understand how to get the diaphragm to get the sound out. And then once you start with the sound and different notes, that gets you tapped into the different energies, and then from there you can use your spiritual energy healing as a.
That's another part of polarity that we integrate. We integrate sound and color. When there's an element that's out of order, you literally bring in the frequencies, the music that supports that hertz frequency, the color. You want to bring in all of the aspects that you can to balance out that chakra and do it. And what we do too is we do polarity movement and exercise that are associated to the element. So like if you need earth, we play a huge, big, deep sounding gong. Boom, and really deep bass music. And then one time we as a group, there was like 30 of us, we went out to the parking lot and we did a polarity exercise where you just opened up your legs on the grass, standing up, and you bent over and just let all of your pain, all of your rage, anything you wanted out of your body, just scream it out as loud as you could, straight into the earth, give it to Gaia so she could transmute it. I swear to you, when like 30 people did that, you felt the ground move.
Mm-hmm. That's like Tai Chi warm-up exercises for both.
It was unreal.
Karate and Tai Chi. Yeah, the
Qigong.
bending and stretching. Qigong is the stretching and releasing of any
Yes.
kind of and thoughts too. You let go of any of your thoughts from the day, and you let go of all of that energy.
Yeah, it was literally the sound too. It was, you just, and we were doing it over and over again. And it was just like, and they're like, okay, this is the last one. Give it everything you got. I mean, people were breaking out primal scream with that last one. They're like, okay, this is the last one. It was, you felt the ground move. People broke open. It was unreal to watch. The energy's so powerful. Saw people walking on coals, bending wrought iron with the soft spot of their neck. And it's because we were working as a group. These group events are very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
We should do it in your store because you got the best crystal energy I've ever seen. And that would be awesome, Jim. Could do some Polarity in the parking lot.
I love that.
Do you do group exercises like that, Jim? I'm sorry. Laurie.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Similar.
Jim, do you do group exercises at the store for with groups of people, or do you work mostly with individuals? Because I imagine some of this is very private.
Well, I do it kind of both ways. Brian knows what I'm talking about, our Wednesday night group that comes together. And you were talking, I loved what you talked about, taking two people working on somebody energetically. That is very powerful, my experience. Having one person at the shoulder, my partner Heather and I tend to work as teams, and we've had some very positive feedback on some healing energy. So that one really resonates with me very strongly. Again, back to our intent. I can't emphasize that word enough. If you have the right intent, especially, it's like saying, one guy says we should push and the other one says pull. Well, maybe the intentions are, if that's done in the right perspective. But if they both say push, maybe that is the right intention. But that's it's like back to knowing. Again, Sophia knows what I'm talking about. You don't have to understand it, you just know it. And that's all you have to do is accept it. And because Sophia's been in our group too, obviously. And that's another thing. When you get the right people together, what happens? Miracles occur.
Mm-hmm.
Oversimplified.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I choose not to limit. I always say what is possible is relevant to what we make possible.
Yeah.
And then it is done. So be it. And
So,
that's what life is.
Yeah, definitely. Grandpa Brian, I was curious because you do the Reiki, and I was wondering what is there a session or something that really affected you profoundly with like some incredible healing with just using the Reiki?
No, not really. I just basically do a little bit of energy work on people on Wednesdays. I do a lot of remote work, and every once in a while, with the emotional healing class, a couple of times when they got out of the chair and then sat in another chair, I would work on them energetically because they still had stuff to release. So I was basically not really helping them release, but giving them the energy to help them through.
So maybe a guided energy clearing or healing of that. And so this is done through the energy work through your hands. Is that correct?
Correct. And you really got to watch what you're doing, because there was one night that it actually, the energy that was coming off them affected me to where I started feeling pain. So I actually had to stop what I was doing with that person, go outside, get myself grounded to Mother Earth, and release that. So it's dangerous, but it's not dangerous. You just got to know your limitations. And when you start to feel that you're actually taking on the energy that they're releasing. It's time for you to stop and go release that energy, because you don't want that clinging to you and manifesting in your body.
Right. You don't want to bring that onto yourself physically. You want
Exactly.
to ground it. We do the same thing with remote energy healing. When someone has an intent, asks for healing on their neck or their back or their shoulder, we will often get a group together. Brian and I have done it before. We've teamed
Oh,
up
yeah,
with
several
a couple
times.
people, pulled together a group where 2 or more are gathered.
Yes.
Really makes sense.
Mhm.
Just as being born again, meaning relive those, understand those past life experiences, understand that you're changing it and making something new in this go round, is actually understanding a rebirth of your own of yourself. You're recreating yourself each time you
Mhm.
have a focused experience of consciousness
Yep.
in your existence. So there's a lot to be said for some of the old interpretations of or conscious expression of those beliefs. But I believe in the power of healing, works through groups very effectively. Chloe's
Mhm.
very good at helping to pull people together as well.
Mhm.
Putting
Yep.
getting the word out to a larger group of people to spread that energy and healing. It's one thing I really love about this community.
Mhm.
It's really helped me a lot when you all come together to help me out with something. But I have since learned how to go inside as well to tap into my own
Self-healing.
self-healing.
We've worked a lot on that. Yes, we have, mentally, emotionally, and physically, and
Brian
got
showed
to the
finger.
root. Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
That's another thing with our Wednesday night group when we open up our healing circle. You
Mhm.
know, people put other people in there that's going through medical problems, and you actually have a big group that is actually sending them healing energy. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know, it don't always have to be like a one-on-one session. Like I said, you know, when we open our healing circle, there's times that I put Theresa in there because she's been going through a lot of pain, or my
Yes, I
mom
know
when
that.
she had the cancer. And that's when I truly believed the power of group, because I told her the day before she had surgery, I was like, I got so many healers sending you energy, so many people praying for you. All you have to do is be willing to receive it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And they
It's
took this,
palpable.
yeah, and they took this much off the top of her lung on Friday morning, and they would not send. She could have went home Friday afternoon, but they were like, no way, we can't send you home this early. But because she believed in all this that was being sent to her, I mean, 5 hours later she could have walked out of the hospital after having that much of her left lung taken off.
Wouldn't it be
Yeah.
amazing if you did an X-ray and saw that it actually was back?
Well, they
That's
did.
when no, the lung is back. Like, it's not
Right.
gone. They cut it off, but it's grown back.
Oh, the
Mhm.
lungs
That's
can regenerate.
The
Yeah,
lungs
Yeah.
like
can.
the liver. Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
they are. Yeah. Yeah.
But like, if you do like a really powerful healing in the body, it happens like right fast, like really fast, really,
Yeah.
really, really, really fast.
Well,
Mhm.
I do want to share something, and I told the panelists this before we came on tonight. I had a recent experience, and I just want to share it because it's so duh. I should have known, but I didn't. And when I went through the experience, I was like, oh, now I understand. But I had something wrong with me about 4 weeks ago, and it was a repetitive problem, and it was because of a change in diet and a change in lifestyle, and uh, my system got all backed up, and I couldn't. I was very bloated, and I couldn't eliminate. I couldn't get rid of anything, and it was becoming more and more complicated and very painful. I couldn't walk, sit, or stand. It was miserable, and I did. Here's the thing, you all. Yes, I called on my angels. Yes, I called on spirit for help and higher self and all those good things. But I also went back to my very human knowledge and understanding of health because of being an EMT. I understand how to work on people. from a physical perspective. And so I did everything you can think of, from hot baths to castor oil to everything you can think of. Every physical thing, my mind just started taking over. The brain started taking over. And when that happened, so did the emotions. And so I immediately set up a blockage myself without realizing it. And I was really was resisting the body's natural ability to do certain things by trying to force it. And by trying to force it, I created resistance so the heart couldn't do its job. And then I remembered our programs these past few times we've been on and what we've been talking about with energy in the heart, and that the heart is the controller. And so I just let go. I just, in frustration and also in just realizing I'm getting in my own way. I'm doing all kinds of things that just aren't working, and it's getting worse, not better. I'm going to end up in an emergency room where I don't want to be, with a bunch of people that don't understand spiritual healing at all. And they're going to put all kinds of crap in my system too. And I just sat down. I stopped the mind chatter. I stopped thinking, people. I just stopped thinking. And I just said, okay, heart, you take over. And then came the breathing. And I was changing it and going through cycles because I remembered heart math technology. I had been looking into it. I had never applied it. I'm not an expert at it. I've never practiced it, but I started counting the rhythm, feeling the rhythm and beat of my own heart, slowing my own heart down. And then I spoke to the heart directly, like I would to an aspect of myself. And I just started speaking to the heart. And I said, you've got to do this because I can't. And my mind and my emotions keep getting in the way, and I'm getting worse. And I think I'm probably going to have a stroke. It was that bad. That's the feeling I was getting. And people, if you could have seen me, I was red in the face. I was swollen and sweating like you wouldn't believe. And I was frightened. But the heart started a rhythm. I felt a rhythm in the heart. And when I told the heart that I loved it, and I told the heart, I just need you to help me through this. I need you to do whatever it is you do. Talk to the brain, talk to the tissues, talk to the muscles. I don't care whatever it is you have to do. Just please do it. I give it over to you. You are in charge, not my mind. And I started cycles of breathing, and it took about 15, maybe 20 minutes. Within 10 minutes, my whole body felt relaxed. Within 20 minutes, everything was let go. Everything.
Surrender and released. The heart knew what to do. The mind just complicated it.
Yeah.
You know, it was interesting too, because she said at the beginning of all of it, she said, I stopped thinking. I stopped thinking. Do you know it's impossible for a female to stop thinking? No, that's just real. That's just real. Men can stop thinking a lot easier than women. Literally, women cannot stop thinking. So when we do, it's a very rare event, and they actually have a name for it for men and women, but it's called still pointing. And when you still point out of intention, like you said, you surrendered. You have to surrender to kind of still point. You kind of do surrender to still point, but you still pointed. What happens when you still point? It's like when you turn the computer off and you do a reboot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you know, for Christians, they say, let the wheel go, let Jesus take the wheels. But it's along a similar philosophy, and but instead of looking to an outside god or goddess or a Jesus or a Buddha or whatever, I'm not saying
Odin.
I'm not trying to downplay it for anybody. If that's what you believe and that works for you, that's great.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that it's heart-centered.
And that's what he was teaching, if that was all true, because God knows half of it's not true. But anyways, it's just about let that being the teacher of good things. And that's a good teaching we need to know to go into the heart. and
Yeah.
and that we have the power to heal our own self. Not all the time, of course, but sometimes we actually do have this power to do this inside of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sophia, you have a comment? Thank you,
I,
Trina.
yeah, thank you, Trina. I do.
Thank you.
The funny thing is when you were speaking a moment ago about I think, okay, when I am doing any kind of energetic work, reading, trancing, or platform messages, whatever, if I say I think, it throws me where I have to like start over because I see, I feel, I know, I'm impressed with. That's all receptive. Okay. And that's what I'm doing when I'm working. At least this is how my instrument functions in this lifetime, shall we say. When I start feeling and doing, I think, for me, think is when you're outreaching, for ideas for your mind. But when I'm and it throws me out every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Briefly, I mean, it's not like I sit there for moments, but it's like as soon as I say I think, Spirit's like, "Oh, you are, huh?"
Yeah.
Back to no.
It's not about
Right.
you right now. This is
Yeah.
what we're doing with the person sitting at the table. Has nothing to do
Yeah.
with you, Sophia. So I am, I know, I feel, I see, and keep the brain and the mind out of it unless you know how to wield it properly.
Mm-hmm. Well, it comes to a certain way, the way you approach things and think about things. Laurie, I'm sorry, I'm going to pick on you for a minute, Laurie, but in a positive way. I really like it when Laurie does this thing where she says, I said to her the other day, I want to lose more weight. And Laurie says, you don't want to lose weight, you want to release it. Okay, so you're not losing something, you're releasing something. And
You're
that's
letting it
very
go.
important. That's important because when I was going through that process, I was thinking, well, I need to take this pill or I need that, or maybe I should go to the store and get this, or I'll try drinking that, or I got so wrapped up in the how to on the physical side of things that it's through the release of all that. I'm not saying you shouldn't put a Band-Aid on or you shouldn't do something that, like if you have a bee sting, put something on. Okay, fine. But what I was doing was trying to force things, and it was not good. And so what it did is it put me in a panic mode, and then I complicated things. Go ahead, Sophia. I'm sorry.
There are two words, and this is me speaking for me again, that really became problematic with my spiritual development. The first one is the word should. Okay. When somebody's like, you should, that instantly throws you out of your power and sends you back to the past.
Yeah.
Replace it with could.
I could, because could is present.
Yep.
At least in my
And it's a choice.
interpretation. And the other one is try. And the only time that I've caught myself using it is when I'm singing Rob Zombie, that little quip that says, I don't try anything, I just do it. So I decided when I stumbled across that, Spirit was like, aha, you don't try. I do.
You do.
Because try can end up being a speed bump for people. It keeps you vibrating right there at the courage frequency. So you've convinced yourself that it's possible to manifest this. But if you're trying, you're not doing, you kind of hang in the middle of the energetic balance. So you're not angry, you're not pulling yourself and the vibration around you down, but you're not able to launch energetically. At least that's what happens to me.
Right.
I love that you said that. I love that you said that because I rarely use the word should. I always use could because that makes it a choice. I have a choice on everything I do as to how it's going to go. And once you kind of get into that mode, your thinking changes, your programming is shifted, and you don't have to deal with that. I should do this or I should do that. The other thing is I never call myself stupid. I don't care what it is. I never put that on myself.
Nope.
So
Be careful what you tell yourself. Yeah.
Yep.
Guys, we're coming to the end of the show. I wanted to get out those final thoughts. And I'll start with Grandpa Brian and Jim. Final thoughts, and we'll make our way around.
Go ahead first, Jim.
Why, I must be the female part of you. Okay. No humor there. Thank you, Brian. Isn't
Yeah,
that
so I
nice? You let
love
me
that.
go. You let me go
You guys
first.
are
all
so
right?
cute.
Right. Thank you for inviting me to the table, and you guys have all got it sounds like already in so many ways, because our experiences tend to overlap one another in many ways. So, but again, how we sometimes see it just slightly different than the other, but it just still comes out to the same end result. Positive thinking benefits more than negative thought, and so it is.
Yep. And so it is.
Brian.
Yeah.
If you're being healed, just be willing to release and know that when the person is doing this work on you, that they are actually doing it for your highest and best interest, and believe in them that they are able to help you heal.
Love that. How about you, Delabor? Final thoughts?
Well, as somebody who knows very little about these modalities, I would say that every one of us can practice this in his own little way just by praying. And prayer, I think, is like the easiest and most accessible biohealing modality that there is. And you can do it for yourself, you can do it for others, and you don't require a whole lot of training or information or anything like that. And I think more people should spend more time praying, because I certainly have been.
Well said, brother. Well said.
Very well said. Yeah, I love that. How about you, Trina? Final thoughts, Trina?
Oh, okay. Okay, I thought I'd just end with something that I wrote. The sacrum to sphenoid, the butterfly in the skull. It fits into the sacrum as above, so below, balancing the positive and negative flows to achieve homeostasis and still points to grow. Reset and reboot the system, running astral, fire, and physical causal trinities. When all three agree, the changes in the body that you make in your mind, body, spirit complex are magical and a mystery. And that's what I wrote.
I love that. Thank you. That's
It is a
beautiful.
mystery.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
And
energy.
it's a mystery we like to come and figure out more times than not.
I like to, like Jim was saying, all these differences that we're doing it, the similarities, but those differences, that is the most beautiful part of this experience, is nobody sees it through the same lens.
Yeah.
So we need all
So
these
true.
different perspectives and different ways of doing it, because you never know who you're going to unlock, because you have all their keys, and it's because there's a resonance in the experiences from past lives or current or whatever that may be. But just know all these differences are your greatest gift. So embrace the uniqueness of who you are, because nobody can give the medicine to humanity the way that you can. So thank you all for being the wonderful healers that you are.
Beautiful. Beautiful, Trina. Thank you so much.
Well,
Sophia, final thoughts?
I'm going first next time, because that's really hard to follow, because I'm like, everything I was going to say, it's like, dun, 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 dun. I'm like, okay. So,
similar.
Yeah, it is.
I love that, though, because that means that regardless of our modalities or mindsets, approaches, doctrine, that we can all, if we allow ourselves, I think that's the biggest key. Because you can have all the ability and development in the world, but if you disallow, or you flag yourself out of service, reminding what you're telling yourself. I mean, we're one of the only species on this planet that has the ability to speak in sentences. There's some intelligent creatures. I mean, we're creatures as well, deep down inside. But I would say know your power, know your worth, stay in the moment, If you go to the past or the future, don't camp there. And if it's trauma, don't go alone.
Yeah.
Um, I appreciate the group being together. I love this topic because, like Delaware said, there's multiple ways to look at this. And as long as you're happy and you're healthy and you're growing, honestly, I really don't care what book you're reading, and I don't care what exercise you're doing. I don't care, if you're happy, healthy, and growing. I would say some of the most uncomfortable times of my life is when I was stagnant and miserable and just unhealthy. And a lot of it is here. Is it all of it? No.
No.
If I have something going on with my instrument that I haven't navigated, I'm going to go see my general practitioner. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. But what I do is more of a holistic approach. I do my meditations, I do my self-care. There's multiple things that you can do to help yourself. But I appreciate this topic. Thank you for putting this together. This was cool.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of it. And I must say, Sophia, you have grown so much in the time that you've been on this show. From the very beginning, you were a little wound tightly, I would say. And you have really released and let go, and you've come into your own. And it's just been a really exciting and fantastic process to watch you go through that.
I can't serve to the level that I'm called to serve unless I deal with my own garbage. And I'm the only one that can do it.
Yep.
And I'm just glad I have the opportunity and the support and the love and the encouragement that it takes to a person that's been through what all of us have been through to break through, to have that Degas moment to where the shadows start to fall away and hope returns.
Yeah, and it's also
It's
a question of let me just say this one thing. It's also a question of faith. You have to realize, that every single disease on the planet is curable using just the mind. Even I don't care if it's stage 7 cancer, whatever.
placebo.
Still, yeah, it's all doable.
One day at a time.
You know what I see, Sophia?
Sat.
You're like a rock now. You look so strong. It's just your strength emanates now. It emanates like this foundation that can't be moved because you feel so strong in your own certainty of your own self. And that's powerful. And you actually radiate that frequency now. You really, truly, that's what I see and feel from you. It's like I'm a rock. Try.
Totally agree. Yeah, right. Try.
Does it not?
Try me.
Say that again, Sophia.
Make my day.
I'll try anything. I just do it.
Yes.
Try me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
what I mean. It's like, I know. It's a try. I know.
I get that. Yes. Beautiful. Theresa, final thoughts?
Well, it comes down to 3 questions. Do you really know who you are? Know thyself. Know thyself. And if you can find ways to do that, whether it's through visualization, guided meditation, past life regressions, get to know yourselves. And that will show you a whole new way of perceiving things and expressing things. The second is do you know what's really happening to you? Do you? Do you really know why things are unfolding the way they are in your life? Why these things are happening.
You're worthy of the test.
Yeah. And
so some of these, loving yourself enough to want to do the experimentation and the exploration into all these different areas isn't woo-woo. It's actually getting to know yourself in ways that you never knew were possible. And then once you do, ask yourself, do you want to go on living the way you're currently living? Do you?
Yeah.
Are things just A-okay? Are you having recurrent, redundant problems? Chronic conditions, chronic suffering and pain? Ask yourself, are you living life the way you really want to be living it? the answer is no. And do you really want to then ask yourself, well, what do you want to change it? Do you want to recreate yourself? Do you want to do something new? Is it too late to recreate yourself? Ask yourself these burning questions, because that will lead you to a path of self-discovery such as you wouldn't believe. And that gives you everything that Sophia was just talking about, and Trina. It gives you that power. We use the word power an awful lot, but it's really love.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you the love and self-respect that you need to pick up the pieces and move them in different ways to make things better. And that includes an entire holistic healing plan.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a holistic eating plan. I have supplements that I take. I have certain exercises. Am I perfect? Nope. Is life a lot different? You betcha.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love myself more than I ever have before at this time in my life.
I could say that
It's
too.
never too late,
Mhm.
is it?
Nope.
Yeah, you could say that too.
Mm-hmm.
And we've done a lot of this together. We have.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
And all those of us here too.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to give Jim a special thanks for coming out tonight and sharing some of his
Absolutely.
understandings
Mm-hmm.
and his love and support. And Trina, you too. It's been a while, and just love having you. And you always give us something new and refreshing to think about, with your knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Can
that's
I
greatly appreciated.
can I just do a quick little sentence to end this with?
Sure.
Because not to end
Absolutely.
it, but the end.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
Polarity was founded by a brilliant man named Dr. Randolph Stone. And in the words of Randolph Stone describing to him what is polarity, Randolph Stone believed life was much more than just chemistry, and that healing was greater than freedom from symptoms. He saw life as a spiritual journey, and healing was the total alignment with that journey.
I
Amen.
love that. I love that. And for me, the final thought is healing begins from the inside out.
Yeah.
And it just starts with you. So, Sophia, anything else?
Last thing,
Uh-huh.
I have found staring death in the face literally a couple
Yeah.
times
Mhm.
when I'm stagnant, a little what one of my best friends, my oldest friend, says we need some air therapy. And for me, that is Orion at Kings Island. It's like you've been coming for me my whole day. And if this is how I go, this is how I go. And that brings joy to my heart, knowing that I know it's going to happen when I move on.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to have fun until I get there. And
That's
Orion's
right.
a big part of it.
Make the best of it. Yeah.
That
You
roller
bet.
coaster's awesome.
Right on.
Yes, it is. Roller coaster. All right, you guys. Well, listen, we look forward to seeing you next week. Watch for the trailer. We will be back next week. We'll see you then.
Yeah.
Until then, Grandpa Brian, thank you so much. Jim, Delabore,
Oh, thank
Trina,
you.
Sophia, Theresa. Love you all. Thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful weekend. And until then, peace and love, everyone. And remember, choose love, and the rest is cake.
Later.